I'm Dr. George Flynn, and you're watching In-Depth TV. Today, well, we've got something very important for you today because we all have heard about identity theft. Yes, identity theft. We've all heard about it. And I hope you haven't been a victim of it. And today we're going to help you in some small way to not be a victim of identity theft. Okay. We know that cell phones and computers and laptops and desktops and all kind of electronic devices are out there. And you may have 3 or 4 of them. And they improve every year. Well, sometimes every month. And we buy new ones. We buy new devices. We buy new cell phones. We buy new computers. We buy all kind of stuff, the newest and brightest and shiniest electronic device. And what do we do with our old ones? Well, we dispose of them. Sometimes we'll leave them lying around. Sometimes we put them in a drawer. Sometimes we just throw them in the garbage. Sometimes we are not victims of identity theft. Sometimes we give away our identity. We just say, here's my identity. Here's all my emails. Here are all my texts. Here's everything personal about me. Here are my credit card numbers. Here's my address. Here's all the things I've bought. Here's all the times I'm going on vacation. Here's everything about my life in this handheld electronic device or my desktop computer. Here it is. Take it. Well, they're electronic devices, and then they're disposable electronic devices. So how do we dispose of our used electronic devices? How do you do that? Well, I want you to be very aware that your electronic devices, even though they don't have a charge on them, even though the batteries run down, you can charge them back up, and they'll probably remember everything that was ever on them. So I want you to be very cautious. All your passwords, they're probably all still on your electronic device. And you think, well, the battery's dead, nobody will ever get it. That's not right. So we want you to safely dispose of your electronic devices, your electronic waste, we'll call it, waste management. New technologies bringing these new products and gadgets all over there. And so your old gadgets, there they are. We can recycle 1 million laptops and save the energy equivalent to about 3,500 American homes in a year. This is one of the very good reasons to recycle your old electronics. Yet recycling rates are pretty low. You know that only about 35 to 38% of old computers that have reached the end of their lives, their software no longer works, they were recycled in 2009. That's about a third. Where are the other 2/3? Well, they may be in your basement or in your closet or somewhere gathering dust. And let's talk about cell phones now. If you got cell phones and you get a new cell phone, you're going to recycle your old cell phone. Yes, you are. You know what the percentage of people recycling their cell phone was? 8%. That's right, less than 1 in 10 were recycled. And what are we going to do with all of this data that's on your computer? Well, privacy and data theft concerns the reasons why people hang on to old electronics. We say, I've heard about this stuff, so I think I'll just hold it. I won't recycle it. The average person, and you and I'll consider myself average. You may be way above average, and I'm sure you are because you're watching this program. So only people above average with superior intelligence, you know I'm kidding you, watch this program. But the average person may not know how to make certain that your laptop, the hard drive in your laptop, or that in your personal data has been removed from your cell phone. You know, your laptop has this little box in it. That's the big memory and everything. The rest of it is power supplies and all this stuff. But the hard drive is the thing that's the big memory. And personal data is on your cell phone. Well, you can remove this data in just a few steps. And there's some information and resources that we'll talk about to help you walk through the process so you can take those old electronics and recycle them and feel confident that your personal data, your personal information won't be compromised. Well, first of all, you get this electronic waste. Where does it go? What happens to it all? Well, all electronic waste is made up of these chemicals. And some of them are poisonous chemicals. Lead, cadmium, beryllium, mercury, bromated flame retardants, all of these things. Disposing of these gadgets and all these devices improperly actually increases the chances of these dangerous chemicals contaminating the soil, polluting the air, and getting into the water. E-waste is what we're going to call it, electronic waste. If you throw it in a landfill, well, as water passes through it, as it rains and water goes down lower, this contaminated landfill reaches our groundwater. And you can have these toxic chemicals in our groundwater. So we may think we're being eco-friendly. We may think we're doing this, but recycling leads to overseas shipping and dumping these gadgets, and they're buried in pits. Worse still is the fact that some recycling companies can ship these electronic waste to third world countries and disguise it as what? Philanthropy. That's right. Saying, we're giving you our old computers. But remember, it could still have your data on it. Now, a lot of children in these third world countries, when we give all of our cell phones and our computers to them, they earn their livelihoods by going through these electronic devices, and they get out all the gold and the silver and the iron and the copper and from all of these tech waste, and it's harmful to their health. Countries that are used as dumping grounds usually have high rates of, you guessed it, cybercrime, because the salvaged hard drives can give criminals direct access to your personal files and your information. Well, I'm going to talk about some of the eco-friendly waste disposal techniques that you can use to dispose of your electronic waste locally. First of all, give your electronic waste to a certified e-waste recycler. That's right, it's a new term. Certified e-waste, e-waste, electronic waste recycler. The positive aspect of e-waste recycling is that you have quite a few recycling options. You need to find a recycler that's officially certified by the, and get ready for this one, the BAN, Basel Action Network. It's a nonprofit organization of recycling companies which are dedicated to recycling electronic waste in a safe and responsible manner. So, here we go. all these members, they have to pledge and display their pledges of responsible recycling. So working alongside a certified recycler means that you don't have to worry about losing your data or polluting other nations. So that can happen. And I want you to know that you don't have to worry about this in this recycling milieu. Well, we need to take precautions. These little precautions will help you when you donate or recycle your electronics. Upgrade your computer rather than replace it. Make sure that before you throw your computer away, you replace it. It'll save you money. It'll save you time, and an upgraded computer generally runs just as fast as a replaced computer. Make sure you format all of your personal information from your products. Make sure you take it all off before you discard it. Now, if you have a problem doing that, get somebody to come in, probably a younger person, to come in and say, wipe out all my personal information from this product. Take the batteries from your old gadgets before you get rid of them. Just take out the batteries and recycle them somewhere else. That makes it harder to just get a proprietary or a battery that only fits your device. It makes it harder for thieves to get back in there. Make sure you back up your data. Make sure you have a copy of your data so that if you get your data, if you lose it somewhere, you've got a backup either in the cloud or on CD or on the flash drive or somewhere. Make sure you have all your data. And let's prevent anyone from accessing your data in the future. Make sure it's permanently deleted. Now, before you erase anything, make sure you've got your data backed up. That way you don't lose it. This may seem obvious, or you may think there's nothing saved on your old device, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And let's make sure that, sometimes when you erase something from your computer, you think it's erased, but it's really still on the hard drive. So make sure that that hard drive is destroyed in some way. Now, there are plenty of options to back up your data. You can use external hard drives, flash drives, online options. So select a method that works for you. And if you need help from this, Lifehacker offers advice about backup methods. And there's a thing called PC World. It explains what you should back up and how often. So I'll mention that again, Lifehacker, Lifehacker. They offer advice, and the other one's PC World, PC like personal computer world. They explain how to back up and how often you should do it. There's a thing called a data erasing program. Now, once you've made sure your data is secured and not connected to your computer, in other words, a flash drive or one of those little thumb drives, you disconnect it. Once you make sure it's not connected to your computer, you need to erase all of the information on your device. For laptops and desktop computers, this requires some special software because, like we said, just deleting your files or a thing called reformatting your hard drive, no, your data is not all erased. There are programs that can retrieve deleted data if your hard drive has not been, we'll call it, sanitized properly. So there are programs to get data back. To render the data on your hard drive totally unreadable, there are programs that overwrite your data with meaningless information, in other words, garbage, making it totally unrecoverable. And we just want to make sure that you have your PC or your computer, whatever kind you have, we want to make sure that you're sure that your data is gone. If you have a PC, there's one called Derek's Boot and Nuke. DBAN. DBAN. Or the other one's called KillDisk, KILLDISK. And you burn it to a CD or a DVD. You download that program, and they provide a full list of these programs that includes pricing, and many of them are free. Once you've made a CD or a DVD using one of these programs, boot your computer up from the disk, and they have all kind of videos helping explain how to do this. Best Buy has a thing called the Geek Squad, and they offer videos explaining the process, or you might even take your computer in to a company that does computers or sells them or services them and say, how do we get rid of all of these files on my computer? Now, for Mac users, Apple provides detailed instructions on how to securely erase your data. Instead of using a downloaded program, you can boot your computer using the installation disk and then use your system disk to do the erasure. So Macs and PCs, you can select how many times you want to write over the files. So it's just like a piece of paper. If you're scribbling over something, you can scribble over it once, then you scribble over it twice, and then 3 times, and 4 times. The more times you scribble over or write over your data, the more secure it is of not being able to be read. But keep in mind that it takes time to complete the process. But the time that it takes, the more times you overwrite it, it increases significantly when you overwrite time after time. Apple explains that writing over data 3 times means that the Department of Energy, it meets the Department of Energy standards, and writing over it 7 times meets the Department of Defense requirements for erasing data. So for your added security, you can consider encrypting all of your sensitive files before deleting them. And according to PC World, a data recovery program could potentially restore a file, but wouldn't be able to decrypt it. Now, I know this is all kind of technical jargon, and we're talking about protecting your data, protecting you. And if you have any trouble with this, this will be online, and we'll show it again, and get somebody that's younger or older or somebody that understands computers to watch this if they don't know what we're talking. Say, I want to keep my data secure, and they'll say, well, I don't know, but I know how to operate a computer. Just watch this, and they will be able to know how to completely protect your data to the Department of Defense standards. Now, cell phones. You got a cell phone. You're getting ready to throw it away. To erase data from the cell phone, it's suggested that we delete all of the information following the manufacturer's instructions for doing, it's called a factory hard reset. Factory hard reset. And they're not that hard to do. Even I can do those. Factory hard reset on a cell phone. Then, the second thing you've got to do, just 2 things or a couple of things. Remove your cell phone's SIM card. That's that little card that goes in the side of your cell phone. Remove the SIM card. And you know what you're going to do with the SIM card? You're going to cut it in half. You're going to get some scissors and cut that SIM card in half. So you've done a factory hard reset, then you remove the SIM card and cut it in half. With any electronic device, you'd rather not deal with the erasing process on your own. If you feel that way, seek out a technology professional. And that may be a 10-year-old, or it may be a 15-year-old, or it may be somebody at a computer store. So if you want to make sure your data is completely safe and your personal information is completely safe, you can physically destroy your hard drive. Now, some people may enjoy doing this. They may enjoy getting that little box out of the computer and taking a hammer and, we've had to mess around with computers so long, sometimes I'd say, I want to take a hammer and just take it to my computer. Well, this is your chance to do it. If you want to make sure your data is safe, you take a hammer and destroy that hard drive. And you'll have fun doing it probably. But if you're still concerned, physical destruction and overwriting the data on your computer or device will most likely keep anyone from getting your personal information. Well, Lifehacker points out, though, that a person with proper training, time, and money could still retrieve your data. What in the world? So we've destroyed it physically, we've deleted the files, we've overwritten them, and Lifehacker says somebody can still, if they take a little time and money, come in and retrieve your data. Well, this is very, very unlikely. But if you're concerned and you don't plan to donate your device for reuse, consider damaging the device or its hard drive yourself. Be careful if you plan to hit it with a hammer or drill through it. Once you've done this, you can take your hard drive to the local e-waste recycling center. Now, you've done all of this. What? What else can you do? Well, you can actually sell off your outdated technology. One man's electronic junk is another man's electronic treasure, as the old saying goes. It can be applied to helping to get rid of your old electronics. You can tap into online sources like Craigslist, eBay, or even resort to having a garage sale. This will help you get rid of your outdated electronics, as well as you can earn some money. Examples of this are old video games, Nintendos or Colecos. These sell for a lot of money now because they're collector's items. Most electronic shops are, generally ready to buy your old electronics. What about your outdated technology? What about donating it? Old gadgets that you no longer need can be donated, as they can be very useful to others. Your old computer may be useful to a student or someone that can actually use it. You should ask yourself 2 questions. Is the electronic item working? Now, we don't want to give it to somebody and have them spend half their life trying to get it working again. And does the computer in this electronic device, and I'm including some of the gaming devices, does it have any of your personal information? Some of the gaming devices do have your personal, some of them have your credit card information. A lot of organizations and businesses offer electronic donation programs which you can choose from. Now, what about visiting civic institutions? You can inquire among your government, universities, and schools for any recycling programs, as they run a lot of organizations and they've started assigning certain days and places for environmentally conscious citizens to come and drop off their electronic devices. Well, you could give back your electronic device in these companies. So a lot of companies have drop-off points. And some have an exchange policy. They'll take back your old gadgets when you buy a later model. Sometimes they'll offer you a discount on your new purchase. And they will usually guarantee that your data has been removed. A few recycling companies have set up electronic drop-off initiatives along with points for products such as cell phones and tablets. And they can erase all the data and they can recycle them to some people that are less fortunate. You can ask your local electronic shops about any information about drop-off locations. Electronics are such an important part of our lives today. But the flip side is that electronic waste comes along with it. So, to make sure that your data does not fall into the wrong hands, and I don't know if you've ever had or you ever know anybody that's had identity theft, but it takes forever almost to recover from that. You have to get new driver's license, you have to get new credit cards, your credit score gets all messed up. You have to go through all kind of governmental and business things because your credit can get ruined. Your bank account can get drained. Your credit cards can get maxed out. And the police should be involved. If you ever have identity theft, call the police. And don't say, I feel so stupid for leaving my cell phone out or losing my wallet or doing this. If you have, call the police. They've heard it all. They don't care. They just want to get your identity back. And identity theft is tough because criminals, once they steal your identity, you could be arrested and it's a mistake. But how are the police supposed to know? How are they supposed to know? So we need to make sure that you immediately report any identity theft to the police department so they know it's not you creating any, financial debt, and they make sure they know it's not you committing any crimes. You've reported it. So report it immediately. Just when you give away or get rid of your electronics things, make sure you format your devices. Make sure you dispose of properly, because the consequences of not doing so can be so painful. And I just want to make sure that you can get rid of this electronic waste easily and safely. I'm talking about safely for your identity. Because this is very important in this day and age of the internet and the electronics, and people can get your credit cards and buy all kind of things and charge them to you, and you won't know for days until you get all of a sudden these bills in. What were we going to do? That's right. Report it to the police immediately, your local police. And it may be a federal crime, but you report it to your local police first. Have it on record. So, if you want to protect the environment, and if you want to get rid of your electronic equipment, remember, don't throw your electronics in the trash. Don't put your electronic or equipment or batteries in the trash, even if it's legal in your state. The toxins inside these products, they don't belong in a landfill. Donate for reuse if possible. If your product can be reused, donate it to a reputable reuse organization. And make sure that it's somebody that won't export it unless it's fully functional. Some good organizations are out there, and the World Computer Exchange is one, the National Christina Foundation. Let's be good stewards with our electronic devices and make sure that we are operating so that the world benefits from this rather than contaminating landfills and making sure that we don't have your identity stolen. I'm Dr. George Flynn. You've been watching In-Depth TV. We've been talking about electronic recycling. Thank you for watching.